In Conversation with Avril and Lucy. Get involved. Call or WhatsApp 0800 118 4099.
Good evening. It's me, Avril, with In Conversation with. Except I'm not on my own. No, I am not. I have two special guests with me today. Who do I have with us today?
Me, Lucy. No, Phoenix.
and me, who's becoming less of a special guest and more of just a regular.
Yeah,
regular.
I think we've kind of.
My name's Jason, by the way.
Made you quite a regular person, haven't we, Jason?
Yes, we have. So, but that's fine. I like being here.
So, really, for your Thursday night In Conversation with, we've kind of got a bit of a new lineup going. So it's not just going to be myself and Lucy anymore. It'll either be myself, Lucy, and Jason, or when Lucy's not around, it'll be myself, Phoenix, and Jason as well. So talking about all the things that have been going on this week, and there has been a lot of things.
Has there? I can't say I've noticed.
I want to talk about the most important thing of all, though.
Go on then.
That I'm here.
TRUK United.
That was incredible. Such a good win.
So that match, and I'm not really a football person.
No, me either.
That match was absolutely fabulous. I mean, we were down there. It was really, really hot.
Yeah, my shady space kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point that I had to move somewhere else where there was another shady space.
It just was absolutely. It was really hot. But it was a really, really good match. It was a really busy match as well, which was really good. There were lots going on. So it's an interesting match to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at one point, I think we thought TRUK were going to lose.
Yeah.
And that was quite a turnaround in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we've been in the lead and then drawing, and then we were losing, and we were 2 goals down. And we thought, well, there's only like 10 minutes left or whatever. We're not going to pull it back. But then we just had some fantastic runs from a few of the players, Coral and someone else whose name I can't remember. I'm terrible at this, aren't I? Yeah. But they did some really good runs, and then they ended up, being able to get it into the goal at the end of the run, which was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, just took the lead in the last few minutes.
It was, and every single player that came down to play for TRUK United actually got a bit of time on the pitch, which I think is really, really important. It was just amazing, and to win that cup. Yeah. And to hold the joy on everybody's face. First time TRUK United's won anything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first game they've won, and I mean, what a game to choose to win.
So it was the TRUK United Cup, and what will happen is the same time every year. That will be a competition that will be run, and hopefully TRUK can.
I wonder who will be playing next year.
I don't know.
Well, it won't be me.
Yeah, you're more of the wheelchair rugby sort, aren't you?
Do you know, I would.
Yeah, we'll do it then.
We'll do it.
Yeah, what's stopping you?
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, come on, Phoenix. Yeah, what's stopping you, Phoenix?
Excuse quicker.
No, you can't. So do it.
No,
we're going to sign you up.
We'll get you signed up for that. We'll get Verity involved.
I was going to say, we'll get in touch with Verity and get you signed up for some...
I quite fancy one of those wheelchairs with a special cage going around it.
Yeah. So you can just ram people.
Yeah.
Actually, I was watching some of the disability sport and seeing what people do. They were doing basketball.
Yeah.
People in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
The person fell over.
Yeah.
And they literally
just pull themselves back in. Yeah.
Flicked the chair back up. And it's just like, I'd be struggling like a fish out of water.
I'd be like a beach whale.
You wouldn't be able to do any of that at all. You beach whale, you wouldn't. You're not at all.
I feel wrong for laughing.
No, you don't, you liar.
That was a funny thing. No, but you're not a beached whale.
Well, I'm not right now. I'm not on a beach.
Yeah, listen to Trans Radio Chat for all the really PC chat that's going on.
Sorry.
So yes, we've got lots of things to talk about. So yes, it was absolutely fabulous news about TRUK United winning that. And there's some other matches that are being lined up at the moment. There'll be more news coming out across TRUK United socials as well. So What shall we talk about first?
Oh God, there's so much to choose from. Go on, Phoenix.
Come on, Phoenix. You can.
What's bugging you, Phoenix?
Oh, that could be a section. What's bugging Phoenix? I mean, we obviously have to talk about Allison Bailey.
Yes.
Ugh.
Should we start with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Get the terrible bit out first. I mean, it's not a terrible bit because, you know, despite all of the media claims that she won, it's absolute rubbish. She didn't. Full stop.
No, so there were 5 parts to her claim. She lost on 3 of them, and the 2 that she won on was for hurty feelings. So she didn't. She completely lost against Stonewall. So that's a massive victory for Stonewall because they put over $500,000 into trying to bring down Stonewall.
Well, let's put in $500,000. Let's have a conversation about this $500,000.
Well, it's over $500,000 to start with.
And where it came from.
So it came from the pockets of, I mean, not you and I personally, but the standard person. And let's remember they do this in the name of women and children. And then let's also remember that these women and children have given over £500,000 to her to win this case that she lost. And she's now posing it as a win, even though she said herself she lost. And our news media are posing it as a win instead of the loss that it was. So yeah, that's
it's just all that money, over £500,000.
Yeah, that could have
crowdfunded.
Could have gone to such better places.
And you know, there's children's charities that could have done with that money. There are women's charities as well. You know, shelters and stuff.
People can't heat and eat at the moment.
Yeah.
No, I know, we're in the middle of
I mean, I'm sorry, can I correct that? People can't heat and eat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Because they're literally not able to afford to do either at the moment, despite, you know, British Gas, you know, posting record profits, 5 times what it was last year for this first 6 months of this year. And yeah, people can't afford anything, and then they're, you know, taking money off of people that can barely afford it, I imagine. So I'm sure some of them can afford it. I'm sure she's got some I was going to say, I'm sure she's got some very wealthy benefactors. But you know, your average person, you know, can't afford spare cash at the moment.
Well, there would have been people that really couldn't have afforded to really donate, but they have done because they truly believe in that cause. And it's, you know, when you know that people are absolutely skinting themselves, even just give £1 or £2.
Well, the problem is, think of it like a church. Think of it like a cult, because that's what it is.
That's what they call
They're all a bunch
That's
of cults. I said cult.
all the time.
But yeah, so in similar to the church, that they give money each week, even if they can't afford it, because that's what's expected of them, and it's a form of brainwashing. They get told it's, you know, it's the way into heaven. And there would have been people that have done it for Allison Bailey and given to her, even though they probably missed out on something for themselves, to sit back now and find out, okay, they're being told they've won for now. When the truth comes out, they've lost.
Yeah.
They're going to feel really silly and hard done by.
The truth is there for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And you know, if you read the judgment, you can clearly see that the only person or organisation or anything that has won out of this whole real sorry debacle is Stonewall. Stonewall, you know, they've been vindicated, they've been blamed. You know, Alison put up there was a tweet she did about she was suing Stonewall, you know, and you know, even the gender crits, you know, all the stuff that they're putting out on all their social media, they really truly believe that Stonewall has been implicated in it. And if you read the judgment, it clearly says
that Stonewall didn't do anything wrong.
Didn't do anything wrong. In actual fact, it was a reverse relationship. In actual fact, the Chambers wanted the Stonewall logo that they would use, not necessarily about actually the interaction with
and it
Stonewall.
also goes a bit deeper, that apparently Stonewall gave the Chambers advice, and the Chambers decided not to use it. And here they are, haven't been found in the wrong.
Yeah.
They followed Stonewall's advice.
They wouldn't have been in the wrong. Yeah, and then she wouldn't have won any of them.
No, she would have won nothing. And what she won? 22,000.
20, yes.
Yeah.
So spend 500,000
to get 22 grand
because I
back.
think it is.
Has she spent it all though? Has she?
She had a few nice holidays, possibly.
Maybe some mattresses.
Maybe some whispers.
Yeah, maybe.
The whisper bars.
We've got people in the chat room talking about it. So big hello.
Just quickly, just say, if you're listening, come and join us in the chat room, transradiouk.com. Click on chat room and come in. Yeah, everybody is really, really friendly, and it's a good place to get your questions across or get your points across that we can discuss. So over to you.
Absolutely. So let's say a big hello to everyone at the moment. We've got Andrea, Chrissy, well actually both Andreas, Claire Green, hi Claire. We've got Jeannie Bottle, Roxy, Chloe, my gorgeous Chloe. We've got Tara T, Mr. Blue Sky, and Jess George. And let's have a look at some of the comments that are going on in there right now. We have got Andrea, number 2, said much of the 500k will have come from the religious far right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is true because we know that this is mainly funded by Russia.
Yeah,
there's proven links there. This isn't just me going off on one. Russia and the far right in America. The devouts. So that is very true. Andrew number 1 said, and also JKGB Rowling. Chrissy said, all I can say is the gullible and stupid people who gave money to that crowd funding deserve what happened. I mean, that's a bit harsh. You have to remember that a lot of these people have been brainwashed.
Yeah, they have, and I've actually spoken to a couple of ex-gender critical. Yeah, we actually had several people reach out to us last year on the radio, privately.
Of course,
and there is one of them has actually done a big story about how they got sucked in. It was an article. I think I actually shared it on our social medias at one point.
And it is. It's just cultish behaviour.
It was just a little bit at a time. Not really. Stop laughing. I think Phoenix's drink nearly went up her nose then. But it was about they chip away a little bit at a time and they validate those behaviours and those conversations. Yeah. And then the more they get validated for the things that they're doing and saying, the more they get sucked in, and the more radical and the more extreme. And that's when they look around at their friends and family who don't agree with them. Yeah. And they're saying, you don't. You've got it all wrong. Yeah. And but they're not understanding. They're the ones. All the time I see on social media the trans community is accused of being a cult, and actually I think I had this conversation with Phoenix not long ago, and it might have been with you, Jason, as
possibly
well.
We have a lot of conversations.
Well, we do have a lot. Well, I was like, is it a cult? Let me have a think back. For me, Lucy is my yardstick on anything, and I look, what was going on in the world when I met Lucy, and she told me. I met Lucy in 2000. So there were, what was the world like? And then when she told me about that she was trans and how that all worked, at that time, even though there was the internet, there still wasn't loads of stuff. No. You didn't have Facebook. No. You didn't have Twitter. You had Yahoo groups, which was something that
MSN Messenger.
And ICQ chat.
Yes.
Remember when but there wasn't, and the story Lucy told me, and I'm not betraying her confidence because she's told this story to loads of people, is she felt she was the only one in the world that felt the way she did. She didn't know any other trans person. She thought she'd die, come back, and God would put her back into she'd be reborn as the right person. And that was her way of reconciling it. She wasn't associating with people. There wasn't any peer pressure to be trans.
Quite the opposite. If anything, she should have been. If it's possible that you can change that kind of thing, which, let's all be honest, we all know you can't. You're born who we're born as, gay, trans, whatever. The opposite would have happened to me because I wasn't around. I didn't know a single trans person. So I should have, if that's how it works, I should have been cis.
Yeah.
Well, me growing up, I knew, and I think it's quite unusual, and I have spoken about this again before, when I was 14, 15, an older friend, they were 1 or 2 years older than me, they transitioned. So in the 70s, I actually had a trans friend, which I think...
You were an ally before it was cool to be an ally.
It was, and I found it all very interesting. Because, My mum worked in Soho when I was a child. You know, she was a dressmaker in the 50s and 60s up in Soho in Fitzrovia. So my mum had always talked about all the colourful people, and we were, you know, in our house, you know, bear in mind my parents are nearly 90, they were very open about all those sort of things.
Good,
yeah. They weren't judgmental, so it wasn't a big deal when this.
And can I just say, for the new people, we've got some new people in the chat, is that the person that was just speaking was Avril, and Avril is cisgender and is married to Lucy, who is transgender.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about these differences and these things, you understand now why Lucy felt growing up that she was the only one.
Because Lucy was born in the 70s.
Yeah.
So there wasn't that sort of thing there to be part of a cult, and there's no way.
Yeah, but even now, in my own personal experience, when I started transitioning, I was on my own.
Yeah.
I wasn't on Twitter. I wasn't, I wasn't in big trans groups, and it was like, oh, maybe I'm trans too.
Yeah.
I wasn't brought in that way. I came to it of my own volition, and it, you know, like most people, it's something that I'd known from an early age. But you move away from it because you think that there's nothing you can do about it. So even when I started transitioning, it wasn't because there was any sort of peer pressure. I was literally on my own, living on my own, finding stuff out on my own, and figuring my own self out as I did that without any input from anyone at all. So to claim it's a cult is just utterly ridiculous.
It isn't. It's definitely not a cult. The only thing I would say that seems to be happening, and I think it is a shift change at the moment, is everybody seems to be coming together, which is great.
Yeah. I think the LGBTQ plus community,
Yes, I think.
But only because they're also under attack.
Yeah. Yes, but it's taken a long time. For me, if we go back when I met Lucy and we made a decision that we were going to go out because it was let's go out and be you, and that was a big step. That was a really scary step, going out and doing that. That was the first time we met other people.
Yeah.
But looking back at those people that we were associating with back then, they weren't trans people. Lucy actually probably was the only trans person of that group of people that we were hanging around with at the time. Many, the ones that we still know about haven't transitioned. Maybe they were just cross-dressers, or maybe they haven't got the confidence. But Lucy is the only one, and that was probably a group of about 20 people that has transitioned from those days. And that was our first properly meeting other people, and from then obviously things have grown, and for a long time I think trans people were on their own until the shift changed, and I think there's a bit of debate about when that happened.
But I still think a lot of, especially older trans people, when I say older I mean people that aren't children, that aren't young adults, older trans people are still figuring it out on their own.
People are,
and it's not because of any sort of group input in their lives. It's because they're making their own realizations about themselves.
It's a bit like when you have it's a common story these days to have a much older person who is has been married and has had kids, and they get to say 50 is a figure that when I used to work for the Terence Higgins Trust comes to mind. Something happens at 50, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis, and oh my god, I need to be me now. But then people come out and say, I can finally say it, I'm gay. So, and that's fine, and we should encourage that. But when trans people do it at that age, we then say, oh well, that's because of, you've watched this, or you've watched porn, or you get all the things come out there.
Anyway, I think we'll go to a quick ad break. And then we'll be back. So we'll be back in 2.
Oh, I love this. We continue in moments.
This is good.
Yes. You're logged to Trans Radio UK.
Trans Radio UK. Tune in via DAB in Ireland. Download our app via your smart speaker or online at transradiouk.com.
Trans Radio, supporting mermaids, family and individual support for gender diverse and transgender children. For information, go to www.mermaidsuk.org.uk.
Win £25,000 and help TRUK Listens at the same time. Enter the Rainbow Lottery and click TRUK Listens as your chosen organisation. And not only can you win £25,000, 50p of every ticket purchased will go to TRUK Listens. Please see www.transradiouk.com and click Win £25,000 for more details.
Tea and Coffee are a global network providing alcohol-free safe spaces through face-to-face and online platforms. All of our events are held in safe, accessible and alcohol-free environments, allowing our members to relax and really connect with one another. To become part of one of the fastest growing global networks for trans and gender diverse people, simply visit tncoffeelgbt.com. That's the letter tncoffeelgbt.com. At Tea and Coffee, we're supporting you to be you.
Ever thought about having your own radio show? Well, now you can, as we're looking for presenters to join our team. No experience is needed and minimal equipment required. For more information, email info@transradiouk.com.
Trans Radio UK is on right now. Across the UK and beyond. Now. More of the music you love. What's more? Trans Radio UK.
Yes, you're listening to Trans Radio UK and you're listening to myself, Phoenix and Jason with the In Conversation show that we're doing tonight. So, Phoenix, what's going on in the chat room?
So, we got lots of people. Billy has joined us, Denise, I can't remember the name, Farmer's daughter.
Hayley.
Sorry, Hayley. And JJ is in the chat room. They're saying hello to you as well, Avril.
Is anyone saying hello to me?
No, they're ignoring you. Everybody's just ignoring you.
Yeah.
Claire Green has reminded us that tomorrow is the protest at Twickenham.
Twickenham.
It is, yeah.
To do with the rugby.
Yeah.
So obviously there's going to be a big vote. And that is tomorrow, isn't it?
It is tomorrow, yeah.
About whether to include trans women in sport.
Just be clear, there's 6 trans women that currently play.
6. Yeah. Claire Green also said she didn't set out to become an activist. I know everyone would rather be getting on with their lives rather than advocating our existence every day, and it's so true. And none of us do it because we want to. We do it because
I mean, like if you take your average sort of trans person, I know there is no such thing, but just generally speaking, a lot of trans people will have their day job. And then they will have their trans job where they are doing work for the trans community, advocating for the trans community, and that's at least another 10 hours a week usually on top of what we already have to do to be able to live in this world, to advocate for our community. So it is everyone. A lot of people, when they do find that community, want to be part of it, and being part of it is advocating for our rights.
And not just trans people.
No,
with
of
Avril in
course.
mind, one of the best cis advocates we could have. I'm not just saying that because she's here, although that helps. But yeah, I mean, you personally, in my opinion, go above and beyond what any other cis person I know has done, because I know to you it's a part of your life and it's so important to you. But I also think you don't get enough recognition as a cis person who doesn't need to step out as much as you do, and that you should be recognised for that.
Pass her a tissue, someone.
The thing is, for me, is whenever I feel passionate about something, and I'm a passionate person, I throw myself 100% into it. Like when we created the radio station, there was no way I was not being part of it.
No, absolutely not.
And it only started as a radio station. We didn't intend to be activists, but life changed. And we needed to become activists. And also, I'm acutely aware that I am a cisgender person. I'm a white cisgender person, and I have a job, and I am visible, and it's my job to be visible, supporting this community that I absolutely love. That when we were feeling nervous and Lucy wasn't sure about coming out and everything, this community supported us, and I will always give everything.
But the point is, Avril, it's not your job. You do it because that's who you are, and we're lucky to have you.
Absolutely.
But it's not your job to do it. So that's why we're so grateful that you do.
I love doing it.
You do.
always do it. I will always be there. You know, this community is my life. You know, most of my friends these days are trans people, and they're my true friends, because I think, you know, he's opened my eyes to the bigotry that goes on, you know, within your own friendship groups as well. You know, I plan to be down there when Posey Parker is down at Brighton.
Yeah,
and I just
you and me both.
And I'm just already just thinking about, you know, what of my friends, my cisgender friends, can I get to come down?
Yeah.
The thing is, they all live in their little bubbles.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect,
in their own comfort and security.
Yeah, they know Lucy.
Yeah.
They know me. But because they don't see it every day, they don't read those headlines. These are the people that won't even read those headlines about Allison Bailey that's going on. They won't even know what it is. They won't care what it is, because it doesn't touch their life.
No, it doesn't.
But it touches my life, and it touches the life of all our friends.
Yeah.
And it's, for me, it's important. I need to show that as a cisgender person that this is the community that I support. You know, I've shared toilets with more trans people than I ever want to.
And the point behind that as well, an important point, is you said to me that you've never had issues with anybody trans in the toilet.
Never.
Your issues have always been with cis people.
Cis people, whether it's cis females or cis males. Yeah. That is where my problems in toilets have always been. Never, ever, not with one trans, whether it be, because they're gender neutral toilets in quite a lot of the places that we go. Whether it, no trans guy, no trans woman, no non-binary people. I've never had a problem, not once, in 22 years.
Well, we will go back to the topics in a second, but because we're getting a lot of feedback in the chat room, and I know people really, you know, these are the people that support us and welcome us. So let's read out some of what they say. So Andrea, number 1, said, I had no intentions of becoming an activist. It just happened, seeing how often I was being attacked online, being pushed to defend myself and the community. JJ said, think some of us 50 plus year olds didn't have the right support when we were young, but now realise we are comfortable, even if we are still a bit confused a little bit, which is so true. Chloe, who is also cis, she's a friend of mine, really lovely person, and really understanding and gets the whole trans thing, has said it's such a shame people suppress these feelings and actions due to how others will react, and she's glad that people who grew up in a less accepting time now feel confident to be their authentic selves. We had a special hello Jason from Andrea 1.
Hello Andrea 1.
Chrissy was agreeing with Jason's words just now. Just seeing if anybody else has said anything on here for us to read out. Tara T reckons that you should definitely get an OBE, Avril.
Oh, can we call her Dame Avril?
I don't want that.
No, I know it's not. No. But I think you're missing the point. No, you don't want it, but other people feel that you should have one because of what you do.
And JJ
so
said,
stop being negative.
JJ said, I haven't thought of Avril as cis, nor anyone else as a label. We are all just us, allowed to be without labels as a true community.
And that's it. And
that is my aim. That one day it won't matter.
Everybody should be able to be who they are.
Absolutely.
And whether you're trans or you're non-conforming, or you just somebody who happens to wear quirky clothes. I've got a friend, and he wears the most wonderful. He goes on. There's a colour walk in London,
right?
And people dress up in the most wonderful outfits. And for many years, he kept that a secret to himself. In actual fact, I was the first person that he'd ever told that he was doing this. And he only told me that probably about 9 months ago. And since then, this is somebody I've known for 40 years that's come out and told me this. And then they started sharing pictures of me, of them doing these colour walks and the beautiful clothes he wears. No, he's not trans. I think he's probably gender non-conforming.
Probably.
And I think actually he could be a bit fluid.
Yeah.
With their.
But again, that's us putting labels on something that doesn't need to be there.
It doesn't have to be. But
yeah.
He's the most wonderful person. It's just like, and I look at these pictures, and I've said to them, I wish you'd been able to do that when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because he would have been so awesome.
Yeah.
That dressed like that as well. You know what I mean? Everybody should be, but also for me, having Lucy as my wife has enabled me to be the person that I am. And this goes back to, not caring about what other people think.
Yeah. Well, Billy has said, be yourself, walk proud and enjoy life. And Claire Green said, be yourself because everyone else is taken.
And that's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
So should we go back to Alison?
Let's go back to our friend.
Oh, do we have to?
Yes, let's. And let's have a look at, so this is today. So yesterday all the headlines were wrong.
Yes.
They were all saying, oh, she's won, how marvellous. And today, I'd like to think because the likes of us have sat there and put them in their place, it's changed slightly. So we're going to go to the BBC.
Ooh.
And so they said that she has been awarded £22,000 after winning part of a tribunal claim. They do go on to say that she lost her case against Stonewall, which they wouldn't have said yesterday. So that's a good turnaround. They go on to mention that the LGBT charity Stonewall worked with her, they're not employer, but I don't know how else to put them, her agency, let's call them that, the Garden Court Chambers.
Generally, we just call them chambers.
Okay. Which had joined its diversity champion scheme. Miss Bailey accused Stonewall of trans extremism. Now, I'm assuming by that she means existence.
Yeah, I mean, because what else is there?
Yeah.
Just the mere fact that we exist and we won't be shut up by the likes of their bigotry.
Yeah. And she was going into work with leaflets. Wasn't she?
Canvassing people.
She was canvassing people to go over to the dark side. So whereas the trans person's going to work and just being themselves and just doing the job,
yeah, she was literally lobbying people.
She was lobbying people to
join her cult.
Yes.
Yeah.
The barrister of 30 years told the hearing at the Central London Employment Tribunal that as a result of her treatment, her income had been left substantially reduced in comparison to previous years. Now, BBC haven't reported this, but I can confirm that the judge confirmed that she lost zero income due to Stonewall's involvement, and continued to not lose any income or work based on her opinions, but they've conveniently left that out.
Shocker.
The tribunal upheld her complaint, however, that the GCC over her view that no one can change their biological sex, with her take on the subject being found to be protected in law. But let's also point out what the BBC don't hear, and that is it might be protected that she can have an opinion, but it's also protected that she can't go around offending people with said opinion.
Yeah.
And to make it even more confusing and muddy the waters in further, she admitted in court that she would indeed use someone's pronouns and have no issue with them using their preferred choice in toilet.
Yeah, I remember when that was published.
And yet, almost every single one of those 9,000 people that donated to her cause would have done so under the belief that she would stop trans women from using women's toilets and she wouldn't use their preferred pronoun.
Which is very weird. Bear in mind she is one of the people of the LGB Alliance.
She's a founder.
One of the founding people of the LGB Alliance as well. That's very anti.
Or as I prefer to call them, mouthpiece.
Yeah.
the mainly heterosexual men.
Well, it is, that came out. That was very interesting because I know you and I have had a very interesting couple of days on Twitter.
Yes.
As well. So that's been very interesting, coming out with facts and figures and actually being able. What has been so good was not just for you, but there's lots of our allies that we've got on Twitter that screenshot and save so many tweets.
Yes.
I will bookmark tweets as well. So I've got a whole. If I go into the Twitter, I can then pull out an old tweet from 2 years ago where people have said something, and I was able to do that as well. About the 7% of the LGB Alliance
are lesbians.
Yeah. The rest are either heterosexual people or angry gay men. What's come out of that.
Yeah. Stonewall did have a statement. They said the case heard by the Employment Tribunal did not accurately reflect their intentions or their influence on organisations. Leaders within organisations are responsible for the organisational culture and the behaviour of their own employees and workers. Stonewall's resources, support and guidance is just one set of inputs that they use to help them as they consider how best to meet the needs of their own organisation. And also I want to add to this that we all know, everybody in this room knows somebody, we won't name them, but we do know somebody who works for Stonewall.
Yeah.
And that person has told me they have more organisations as a part of their diversity champion scheme now than they've ever had before. So the GC's painting this image that Stonewall are losing left, right and centre. They have more now than ever.
And the other thing that GCs tend to crow about is where people have moved away from using the Stonewall scheme, they are still using other providers that are giving exactly the same guidance that Stonewall was giving. So it's not as if they've dropped Stonewall completely and don't.
They're still members of Stonewall,
and don't have any support in there. They have other organisations that they, diversity businesses that will come in, but they are still giving exactly the same advice as Stonewall because that is the legal advice on how to
but they're also still members of Stonewall itself. They're just not following the diversity champions.
And there's many companies that offer a similar diversity champion type thing, and that's what they're doing. Some of that is just going, they've dropped Stonewall for that particular part, and they're using another company that is still giving the same information.
Some are. The MOJ, Ministry of Justice, dropped Stonewall. They haven't replaced that. So there are some organisations, and then you question some of the stuff that they then go on to do, but
realise what side of the law they're on when they make a mistake.
What, the Ministry of Justice?
Well, they're obviously on the wrong way. They've got to be careful. Nobody's above the law.
No, absolutely.
So we'll go to another quick ad break, and then we're back. We've still got loads more to talk about.
Can we squeeze it all in?
We can. Back into.
Oh, I love this. We continue in moments.
This is good.
Yes.
You're locked to Trans Radio UK.
Many website owners don't like their website hosting company or support provider, but are too scared to move to someone else in case they lose their site or it affects their business. Based in Telford, at Purple Prince Media, we will move your website to us free of charge with the best support possible. And if you're looking to start up a business, we're also here to design and build your website from the ground up with unbeatable prices on web hosting and dedicated servers. We're also certified Magento developers, which is the world's biggest e-commerce platform. So, rest assured, your online business is just a click away. Drop us an email on hello@purpleprince.co.uk or visit purpleprince.co.uk to get started. Purple Prince Media, the local website company.
Looking for business cards, flyers, in fact anything in print? We can help. Digital format specialists, www.printsmart.uk.com. Think smart, print smart.
Did you know you can advertise with us for less than £1 a day? Call 0207 856 0584 or email sales@transradiouk.com. International Trans Lifestyle Magazine, available in print and digital. Support group and events, information, friendship and support. transliving.co.uk. All hit music.
Yo, what's up? This is Kanye.
This is Rihanna. Hey, this is Pink.
We play the hits.
All the hits. All the hits.
Non-stop. Trans Radio UK is on. Right now. Across the UK and beyond. Now. More of the music you love. What's more? Trans Radio UK.
Yes, this is Trans Radio UK, and you're listening to In Conversation with myself, Avril, Phoenix, and the lovely Jason.
So, I'm lovely.
Jason, we're handing over to you.
Oh, thanks. Well, I just want to highlight something that Claire. See, this is what I said. Claire Green has said in the chat room that the critters have quickly brushed this aside and focusing on the Tavistock closure, which is something that's been in the news with some very confusing headlines being published, shockingly by some, and. So, the Telegraph, for example, Tavistock transgender clinic shut down by NHS after review finds it's not safe for children. Which, in a manner of speaking, is true, but that's not quite what's happening, really, is it?
No, not the sort of safe that they are implying.
No. It's the implication, isn't it? But the reality is that the Tavistock is being replaced. Is a word that they should have used by two and potentially more regional clinics for children based in children's hospitals to help them access the care that they need in a more timely manner.
Yeah, which is amazing. So it's a good thing. The thing is that the review about the Tavistock did mention about loads of failings that was there.
Yeah.
So what is happening? Yes, it is a good thing. I said to you earlier, I was on Facebook and there's been some things about the Tavistock, and people are on there, being anti about it, being very transphobic as well. But I was able to jump on there where they're saying, good, I'm glad it's closed. I've been able to jump on those threads and say, yes, we're very glad it's closed too. Actually, it was failing. It's now going to be replaced with something that we will hope will be better. I mean, initially it's going to be 2 clinics, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the aim is for there to be more regional centres that are going to be able to, like I say, help young trans people in a more timely fashion, rather than them languishing on a waiting list for years, only to then become adults and then have to languish on more waiting lists for years.
Yeah, and it's going to be in hospitals as well.
Yeah.
Children's hospitals. So there's going to be anything that's a bit more complex, or there's any other underlying medical conditions that anybody has.
And for anybody who's, again, new to the chat room or listening at home and doesn't know what we're talking about, Tavistock is there's a specialist children's part to Tavistock, as well as being an adult's part, that deals with the healthcare for trans kids. It's been running woefully under-resourced and under-managed for years. Kids aren't getting anywhere on it. The waiting list is so many years long that they're becoming an adult before they reach the end of the list, and then have to start a new list as an adult elsewhere. And so that's what Tavistock means, and that's what's being replaced, not shut down, but replaced. As Jason told you, 2 is just the start. They're saying there's going to be more, but they have to start somewhere. And Jason and I both have first-hand experience of a brand new pilot scheme that's going on for trans adults, and I think that this new children's service, being in a hospital, in a children's hospital, is the best of the best idea, because it's the centre of everything. So any possible medical need, whether physical or mentally, will be there for the child, in the same way that, again, the service that Jason and I have first-hand experience of, it's very much a similar thing there, isn't it? It's very much a hospital environment. It's a clinic that's already running for health needs, for all manner of different health needs, and it's so easy to. I envisage it being like a spider web, that lots of branches coming out, and everything you need is just there. Yeah. Whereas at the moment, I mean, the Tavistock isn't in a hospital anymore. It's now running in, I think, Finchley somewhere, out of a random building that has no attachment to anything, and has just been awful.
Oh, it's a bit like the London office, isn't it? For adults anyway. That was just in a standalone building. Yeah. You'd expect it to be attached to a hospital, and it wasn't attached to that. It was just above a Sainsbury's. But on the same side, talking about the service that you two have gone through, there is a service that is for people that live in the London Borough of Sutton. They've brought out a new clinic here, and it's called Trans Sutton, and it's a trans clinic for people, all the trans people. As long as you live in Sutton area, you can go down there, and again, it's a whole GP surgery, so it deals with all your needs. And actually, I know of some people that have been, they've got the letter from their GP sent off to the clinic. They've popped along to this clinic, had a few blood tests, and they've actually had access to hormones within 3 months.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I know.
How long did we have to beg for?
Oh God, I dread to think. Then it became down to how much did I have to pay to access it. But yeah, I think there should be more of a drive to have a lot more help at a primary care level from your GPs, rather than having to rely on large services that are under pressure because, or should I say small services that are under pressure because they're serving so much of the population.
Indeed. I mean, it's just the trans healthcare is just horrendous across the board.
It's virgin and non-existent.
Well, it is. And it just takes so long, and not everybody has the money to go privately.
No, I mean, I was fortunate at the time that I started transitioning, but I know that that's not the case for many people, and if I hadn't been in that situation, I could potentially still be waiting now.
Yeah, I mean, Chrissy's just said in the chat room about Kathleen Stock,
Yes.
about saying mermaids must fall next.
Yeah.
And I actually tweeted back to her and saying, well, what fell first?
Yeah.
Because she's under misinterpretation that Tavistock has fallen. It hasn't fallen.
No.
It's being...
It's
grown.
It's
grown
got...
and better than it ever was before.
Yeah.
You've seen the bold caps I've been using today. I've been putting quicker, easier, faster, better. I mean, everything's positive about this.
And hopefully, once they get through doing all this for the children, then more can go and be done for adult trans healthcare as well. You know, once you get it started, and then it will feed through, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that the Trans Plus clinic pilot in London is coming towards the end of its pilot term, and I know that it's had a lot of positive feedback from service users, and I think one of the taglines I used when I was giving my feedback to the independent reviewing team was that I hope this pilot service very much goes on to just be a service.
Totally
There's
agree.
Indigo, isn't there?
There is Indigo and Sea Magic in Liverpool.
Yeah.
There's also a new one in the that's just starting up in the east of England. So there are new services that are coming through.
They use those, and then they get more GP practices doing this thing like we've got in Sutton to supplement all that as well. That would make life so much easier, wouldn't it?
It would absolutely, and it would make such a difference to trans people where they need it, because a lot of trans people suffer because their GPs refuse to educate themselves to be able to provide them adequate healthcare.
I saw somebody today actually with their GP. They posted a question on one of the forums about their GP was refusing to change their name and gender.
It's illegal.
Yeah, which is illegal.
So when you've got GPs they're gatekeeping access. It's hard even just getting your GP to send that form off. I mean, our GP for Lucy, we filled in the form. He didn't have a clue what to fill in.
Yeah,
I had to for my doctor as well.
We filled it in, gave it back, and he just signed it.
Yeah.
And also, it's worth pointing out, just in case a certain Dozy Barker is listening, because she did admit last night that she follows my tweets on Twitter. So
how cute!
I'm really upsetting the right people, but I'm just going to point out to anybody listening that let's remember that being trans is not, and I repeat, not a mental health condition.
No.
The NHS and the World Health Organization have stated categorically that it is a sexual health condition and has nothing to do with mental health. Mental health only comes into it because of the disgusting way that we get treated in general life.
That causes
the mental health issues, not being trans itself. Gender incongruence, as it's now called, is not a mental health condition. So, Dozy, if you are listening, stick that in your pipe hole.
Well, there we go. I hope she is listening. I hope she's listened to lots of my roles.
I hope she's educating herself. Yeah.
So, that would be really good. She can learn about things, which would be great. That's why I love this show so much.
Yeah.
But time is running away.
I know.
It is. It's gone so quickly. I know. Oh.
So we've got one topic left that we really need to touch on.
What could that be? I wonder.
Well, it's something that's been happening the last few weeks. Actually, is angry protesters at libraries of all places because of the drag queen story hour for children.
Finally, men dressing up as women. Finally.
I have to say, right, the ironic thing is all these people doing all these protests about these drag queens doing story hour. How many of those over the Christmas season take their kids to go and see a pantomime?
I know, right? Because it's literally exactly the same.
You say that, but they're all pretending now they don't. Because Posey Parker has told them, don't go and see...
It's too late now.
Don't go and... No, they've all changed their minds now. They all dislike...
Oh, no, they haven't.
Oh, yes, they have. They all dislike Widow Twanky now because they've been told by their dear leader to dislike it.
But they've been doing it for years, and for years we've had many TV programmes where there have been cisgender male dressing up as Yeah,
well, they all love Mrs. Brown's Boys. Yeah, everyone loves that.
You made no average. Really savvy.
Yeah, absolutely.
On time TV.
Yeah,
they're the more recent ones. But if you go back,
God, yeah. I mean, if you go all the way back to Shakespeare,
where it was completely normal for men to wear a dress.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even that. Women weren't allowed to be actors.
But
so
the thing about all this is, with this drag queen story time or whatever it's called, is the implication they are making and the accusations they are making about what is happening when story time is going on.
But they're also calling them, so see, between the three of us, let's work this out. So they're outside calling drag queens sex workers because they're men in a dress.
Yeah. That's what they're calling them though, isn't it?
Where's the sex work?
Well, I don't know.
Surely sex work involves sex?
Well, I would imagine so.
I don't quite understand it. And they're literally reading... Excuse me, one of the dogs was farting.
I'm not sure you can say that word.
I think I'm going to be saying
what dogs?
I apologise most profusely.
Jesus.
Not for that. Oh my gosh.
I've lost my train of thought now. That's not beside.
No, they're talking about drag queens being sex workers, reading stories.
They're literally reading Jack and Jill. They're reading, all these things to them. I don't understand. What's the bad part? I've seen videos of the kids up dancing with their parents, having a lovely time. They're learning in such a way about these stories and books from this colourful character who to them
that's not come out a book as well.
Yeah,
because many books have caricatures.
But of course. That's not a drag queen. That's not a man in a dress. That's just a colourful person reading a story.
Yeah.
It's all the other.
How is that? But I just don't see how that's any different from any other colourful children's entertainer.
Like a clown.
Yeah, but not just a. But I mean, you see the children's TV. Yeah. Usually they have presenters who are loud and colourful and flamboyant in some instances, and that's not a problem. But as soon as someone's wearing the wrong clothes or using makeup, and I say this in quotation marks because that's not what I actually think. It becomes a problem, and but not only that, it's the abuse that they're hurling at parents and children as they're going into these places. They are literally abusing children in the street.
Well, they're also shouting out in front of all these children. They're calling the parents groomers for taking their children to this story time. Yeah, and they are calling the drag queens paedophiles,
which is
and groomers. And groomers. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's not.
And it's just utterly like there's no logic to this at all, and I just can't understand how people get to this point.
I think that's the clash that's going on here. So we're sat here using logic. They're sat there using, I don't want to use the word stupid, ignorance.
I think someone's just poked a hornet's nest, haven't they?
Well, it's just Andrea One has said that Dozy Posey Parker is incapable of educating herself on trans issues. And it's so true because, so this whole thing about her hating the dame, the Widow Twankey, is odd because she believes in Ricky Gervais having freedom to express a joke about a trans person because it's just a joke. That's what she said. It's just a joke. Surely Widow Twankey is just a joke.
It is.
What's the difference?
Widow Twankey is just a character.
Exactly.
It's been around for many over 100 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Been going. So all these things are just characters, but it's the implication, and I mean that video that we watched of the library, where was that, in Reading? Yeah. Where the woman pushed that screaming child in a pushchair. The child was screaming its head off all the way round while obscenities were being screamed.
While saying it's dangerous for children in there, she took the child in.
And that child was screaming all the way out as well.
In fear.
And all the abuse and all the swearing and all the anger that those children that were sat there, then they circulated that video without pixelating the children's faces.
Oh gosh, that's horrific.
It was someone else who shared it, then blurred it all out.
Claire Green pointed out that the people that are there doing all this are the same people who were anti-vaxxers and the same people who are anti-anything. So they're just latching on to the latest right-wing
Well, they're very
grift.
extremists. Actually, a lot of this was started by a really, really right-wing extremist. The guy in charge.
Yes.
And Mick. Yeah, we can't say the name we call him.
Yeah.
But he's very, very well known for being weird as hell. I think he's.
I mean, he hates the NHS. Can you imagine? He used to work for the NHS until he was sacked for thieving off the patients. But he, and that's not allegedly, because that's actually a true fact.
Yeah, it's true.
So sue me. And he now hates the NHS because he was caught for thieving from the NHS.
Right, so he was caught doing something bad.
Yeah.
And now it's the NHS's fault.
Yeah.
But he's there. He does all these little videos from his caravan.
Oh.
And he is such an extremist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, some people believe him.
Yeah.
Because the one today, there were loads of people down at Bristol at the 2 library readings causing complete and utter mayhem.
Yeah.
And they had to cancel it all out. So, they didn't even get to do it. I think they got a normal librarian that was doing the reading today in the end.
That's a shame.
It wasn't safe.
Yeah.
And it's just such a shame because the kids are missing out on a really fun time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's brilliant. Seeing them do that, seeing the videos of the kids before all this really kicked
just dancing and enjoying themselves.
Dancing and singing.
Yeah.
And just doing all the same sort of thing that nursery kids do.
Yeah.
Hasn't time flown?
It
has, really quickly.
At the end of the show already. So coming up after us at 9 o'clock, we have Tara with the ska, reggae and two-tone show.
Coming at 10 o'clock, I think we have the...
Well, I'm testing you.
The
Shelley Jane
extravaganza.
And at 11 o'clock we have a pop-up show, and at midnight DJ Susie B is here.
Seeing us through the night.
So that's us. We're out of here. So we'll all see you very, very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.